Hello and welcome back to part number 2 of Bronze to the Top, episode number 9. I am your host, the vocal terrorist, Jesse Rain, and we are here watching Sally Jackson, aka Bubblegum's replays of her first 8 games that I've selected. 3 of them, we're watching the second one right now. Pretty much impressed with how she started off. That was only her second 1v1 and there were some really good ideas there. You can tell she watches esports, as it were. So we're going to jump straight into this next game, because why hang around? We're going to see from Bubblegum. Look at this. That is the idea of a split. It's not quite a split, but she had the general idea that I need to grab all my workers, send them here, and then try and make some come over to this side. But I'm going to send a couple, well, like one to here instead. But that's fine. Look at that. That is the idea of a split. As once again, my middle mouse button goes crazy. As you can see, I move around using the middle mouse button. So occasionally, I just scroll it all the way in. That's just something I do. I do that during the middle of games as well. Let me tell you, it is not useful. It is not clever. I should probably disable it. But I'm a terrible person. Nice rallying on that STV. That was much better that time. It did not sit about idling. It does not have minerals in its hands. It is just building that depot. So already in the first minute and a bit, we see an improvement from Sally. We see, I get the timing of that now. And now it's back mining. Look at that. So now what about our barracks? Now our barracks is late, unfortunately. But here we go. It's coming down. There was an extra 50 minerals. That's not too bad. But again, on the plus side, that SCV didn't go away and sit there idle for 20 seconds. And we have a gas follow-up to this. So, Sally trying something different. That's also something you don't see so much. Now, she hasn't scouted this game. I'm less impressed with that. I really think it's worth sending an SCV out there. Even if you don't know what it is you're really looking for, it can just... It helps. Being able to click over here and go, oh, okay. Like, you can kind of see the buildings he has. I mean, last time we saw a factory with a scan and we saw some gas and we were like, oh, okay. Probably going to attack with something. Obviously still no commands yet. So no orbital command. After this SCV, will we get an orbital command, or will that be late again? Let's wait and watch. We'll cross our fingers. Do it for us, Sally.
SCV ready.
Come on, Sally. No! Still no orbital command. Upsetting. But never mind. These are the things. I think I used to morph orbital commands on about 30 supply, because I felt it was more important to make several barracks, not get any gas, and then lose. That was nice, pretty much on 100 gas, maybe just a little bit late. We have a factory going down for Sally. We have a second refinery. So probably, I'm going to make a prediction, wants to make a starport. And I like this. I like that this is something different. I didn't do different things. And look, even an orbital command coming. 20 supply. Not bad. So that second refinery is done. We have 3 and 2. No, we now have 3 and 3. So again, look at that. Knowing 3 workers go in the refineries. Another sign of people who watch esports or probably read the manual. Factory goes down. Tech lab goes down. No starport just yet. Come on, build us this starport. Do it. We know it's coming down.
You want a piece of me, boy?
Because everyone knows starports are good. Yeah, there we go. Medevacs are awesome. You learn that early on in the campaign. Medevacs are sick. So we have a tech lab going down, or finished now, for Sally. Nothing quite yet producing out of here. We don't have the gas to build a siege tank. Instead, we get siege mode first. We will eventually build a siege tank, I hope, at 125. Come on. We're at 113, 121. Boom! Siege tank right on time as well. Good.
SCV ready.
So that was nice to see. We still don't know what our opponent is doing. For all we know, our opponent is stood right here. Excuse me, right here, and is ready to kill us. And we even have a reactor going down on the starport for double medevacs. So reactors down on the barracks, and we're going to expand. 6 minutes? 6-minute expand? Nice. Obviously, one thing I need to talk about is this idea, because it's a concept people struggle with very, very early on in the game. I know I did. Where you sacrifice your ability to make things early on in order to be able to make things later on.
Research.
I'm trying to explain it in the simplest way without using really big
Better be good.
like community words that we all know, but the new people generally won't.
Add-on complete.
And let's say that you want this second base as soon as possible, because once your economy, once this mineral and gas,
SCV ready.
not consumption, what am I thinking? Collection kicks in, you are going to be able to make a ton of stuff and be even better later in the game. If you're sacrificing economy for units in the early game, and your opponent who sat over here doesn't,
Up, ready to go.
you have only a very short window where you will be able to outmass units against them.
SCV ready.
And
Ready
a
for
scan
that
comes down
stuff.
from, I believe, is it Damocles is her opponent? I did look. Let's just be sneaky. Yep, Damocles. So a scan comes down from Damocles. Again, late. You want that to go around. If you scout your opponent and see no expansion, you want to scan about 5:30, 5:20, 5:30. If you scout an expansion going down, then you want to scan about 6:20, 6:30. That's because you want to see tech. So we're going to see Sally moving out, making another mistake a lot of early players make, which is that medevacs are a lot faster than units because they can fly straight over things. And so that medevac will reach there way before any combat units and can be shot down at any point, much like now, unfortunately. So that medevac does go down, but the units here are going to start to kill things. Tanks are coming in, and siege mode rather is finished. Not going to siege the tanks just yet. Instead, we're going to walk the Marines in so that they can all be killed. But finally, the tanks are sieged, so this bunker is dead. A scan goes down from Damocles. Damocles knows. Oh crap! There are, well, 2 siege tanks there. That's it. We do have 2 Marines joining them. Now, Damocles has a second orbital. I'm going to assume that's a second orbital because why wouldn't you have one in your name? And he's going to try and bust down this ramp. It's not going to happen. Sally is going to hold it off, but it's actually quite a lot of units, really, considering that all Sally has right now are 2 siege tanks and 1 Marine. I'm going to nip back here, and we're going to see, are things constantly producing? Now, that is one thing in Sally's favour. Every time I come back to this base, these buildings are always producing. Unfortunately, these 2 medevacs are sat here, and I'm not going to go help out anytime soon. The command centre is going to be floated down to this expansion. Will she morph it to an orbital as soon as it lands? I would hope so.
Ready for dust off.
No, let's see where her
Ready for dust off.
vision is. Here it goes. Okay, we saw the medevacs and we're throwing down a barracks. Vision's back here, so we're not really looking at the expansion yet. I want to look at the expansion. Oh, there's an SCV there. That's so annoying. That SCV, of course. No, it doesn't actually see that base. That is a poorly placed SCV. So now we have 4 medevacs flying over, which is 1 for every single Marine here. That makes us really, really strong. And we'll nip back, and oh, Sally for the first time lets us down as she has nothing coming out of these buildings. That's upsetting. That's the first time I've come back into her main in this game and seen nothing producing out of a structure. But now I actually want to pause it here because this is a point I really want to stress. I really, really want to stress. We see again she has 1,400 minerals banked. She has not really a contain set up here because of course they can just walk units out here and build a base or whatever. But you know right now Damocles isn't going to push out. He's going to have to break through this to move out and attack this base. What do you do with all this money? There are 2 things you can do. You can add 1 billion production structures. You could add, you could add 2 more barracks. If you took the 2 gas down here, you could add another factory and get double siege tanks. Hell, go into Banshees or something totally unexpected. But when you have that money, you need to be adding production structures. The general rule, especially that I try to stick to, is Terran. For every base I have at least 3 production structures. So if I'm doing a 1 base, like unless you're going all in with something, then you can go 4 production structures per base. But that is an all-in. You cannot keep that up. That's trying to hit a massive unit and then just go. But generally speaking, you want about 3 production structures per base. So of course, right now we have 2 bases, but we really only have 1 mining, and we have 3 production structures we had in that main. Now, because we're not producing constantly, we have let this balloon up. We need to be careful on supply. And now I'm just going to restart this. That was just a big thing I really wanted to talk about, and I wanted to focus on. Again, I'm just going to switch. Where is Sally looking? Finally, she looks down at this base. And she's going to rally some workers down. Not bad. How many are going down? Well, 9 are going down. How many have we got in here? Yeah, that's fine. Still keeping this rally to the main. Yeah. Now we have a tank trying to move out, but not doing anything. Now it's trying to escape, but of course you cannot roll tanks. Oh, she has, with the rally point set to there, I assume, these tanks are actually going to walk up and round here. And now she's just going to unsiege and make the biggest rookie mistake, which is walking Marines into siege tank lines. There are 2 reasons that was a really bad attack. The first is, of course, walking into siege tank lines is not the best. The second is, you know Damocles has this up, and he's had it up for a while. He is going to have more units than you. You want to hold that contained for as long as possible and then just leave. You don't actually want to lose any units. You just want to get your production to a point where it's caught up with his. But still, we see things that we like. We see an understanding that we need more production structures. We see an understanding that we need to expand and get more gas. Even now, adding another barracks, we're way too high on minerals at this point. And unfortunately, it's really hard to recover from that. I really hope you can't hear whoever is mowing outside. Someone is mowing a lawn, and it's really loud and it's putting me off. But if I close my window, it's too warm in here with these 2 lights.
Ready to go.
And again, we have nothing producing. This is starting to let me down a little bit. You need to be constantly producing. And part of that problem is, where's our hotkeys? We haven't hotkeyed our second barracks. We haven't hotkeyed this up yet, even though it's nearly done. Sally, I feel, on whole, has played just a little bit worse than she did in the last game. Rather than improvement, we're seeing a slight falling. We're seeing things not hotkeyed. We're seeing too many minerals built up and nothing really done. And I think that's partly losing that attack. You focus so much on that attack, and that's what we do as players. Especially early on, we look at the shiny things rather than the boring in-base things. And then we lose, and we feel a bit bad, and we don't really pay attention to our money, and then we lose our bases, and I'm afraid that's going to be it for Sally Jackson. But ever-mannered, throws out the GG. It's nice to see Bubblegum has left the game, and that is that over and done with. My hotkeys take a while to work because my computer is trying its best to die. So again, I feel like Bubblegum had a slight fall in that game, and I think a lot of that was down to how she was on the offensive instead of the defensive. In game number 1, she was defensive. She was almost not panicky, but you get the adrenaline. You know the thrill of that. So you're looking at everything. You're keeping an eye on your mineral counts. You're trying your best to survive. In this game, Bubblegum went on the offensive and spent a lot more time looking across the map instead of focusing on what was happening in her base. And that, I feel, is the thing that let her down. So that is part number 2 done. I'll be back shortly with part number 3, in which we will watch our last replay from Sally, which is a Terran vs Zerg. And I really just want to see, does she do anything different versus Zerg? Does she learn? It was replay number 6, this was number 4, the previous one was number 2. So there is a progression. We should be seeing advances each time, even if they're just small, even if it's just learning one little thing each game. I feel not let down. I feel like that's a really harsh way of saying it. But I feel like that was a significant slip from replay number 2 to number 4. So hopefully in number 6, she can bring it back and perform even better. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all shortly for part number 2.